Okay. Oh, cat. What do you think you're doing? Here's the cat. The cat is back. The cat is right there. The cat is planning on causing trouble, I think. Okay. So we have read through the sequence in Numbers where the Israelites, the first generation out of Egypt, refuse to enter the Promised Land. They just do not want to confront and go to war with the people who are already in the land. And they did not believe that God was going to be able to help them defeat those people. Yeah, you don't need to deal with that, cat. You need to go somewhere else, cat. Actually, I'm going to get a good shot of you. Right there. That is the cat. Oh, no. That's all. That's it. That's all you get. That's all you get, cat. No, that's as close as you're going to come, cat. Now that you've got out of your system, go do something else for a while. And there goes the cat. Yeah. Okay. So the people who are the first generation up out of Egypt are not going to enter the land because they simply did not have enough faith in God to get them there. When push came to shove, they got shoved. They backed down from the challenge. They did not want to go to war with the people who were already in the land. They did not want to have to forcibly take the land from those people. And so they've been cast out into the wilderness. We have a few more chapters to go before we just completely turn the page on them. So this is Numbers 15. Presumably, these instructions, which we're about to read, are given after the incident with them not going into the land, presumably. Again, it's a little hard to pin down some of the chronological sequencing here, but presumably all this stuff we're about to read. Well, I know the next section is going to. When we get to chapter 16, we actually are going to begin a narrative for a little bit. But right now we got more sayings. The Lord said. Cat. Yeah, there you go. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, after you enter the land I'm giving you as a home." So he's still going to do it. Not for these people, but for their children. "And you present to the Lord offerings made by fire, from the herd or the flock, as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, the sweet savor sacrifices, whether burnt offerings or sacrifices for special vows, or free will offerings, or festival offerings." Those are all types of Thanksgiving offerings. "Then the one who brings his offering shall present to the Lord." You don't have to worry about being offered to the Lord, cat. You are not a clean animal. You would not be acceptable as a sacrifice to the Lord. You are an unclean animal. I couldn't even have you in my presence. You're so unclean. You walk around on the pads of your paws. You don't have hooves, so you are not clean. "Then the one who brings his offering shall present to the Lord a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil." I'm not sure what that word is, hin or hin, I really don't know. "With each lamb for the burnt offering or the sacrifice. Prepare 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering." As far as I'm aware, they never offered drink offerings by themselves, but always with other kinds of offerings. When we read the different kinds of offerings at the beginning of Leviticus, there was no standalone drink offering, but they offered drinks along with their other offerings. So you'll hear them talk about drink offerings. But as far as I can tell, there was no standalone drink offering, and the drink offerings were always offered along with other kinds of offerings. There was a standalone grain offering, where you offered your grain, the first fruits of your grain, to the Lord as thanks for his provision for you, and did not involve the shedding of any animal blood. But as far as I know, there was no standalone drink offering, and the drink offerings were always mixed with other kinds of offerings. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm that much of an expert on this. Every time I go through this, you get to a point where my head just starts spinning about all these different offerings and sacrifices and the various kinds of regulations that went along with them. With a ram, prepare a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil and 1/3 of a hin of wine as a drink offering. Offer it as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. When you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering or sacrifice for a special vow or a fellowship offering to the Lord. Now those are different kinds of offerings. The burnt offering was the whole offering where you burned every part of the animal unto the Lord. Then you had your fellowship offering, your Thanksgiving offering that you offered and ate a meal out of, and a fellowship offering, or you offered up as a vow. Like these are different kinds of offerings here. Anyway, bring with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with half a hin of oil. Also bring half a hin of wine as a drink offering. It'll be an offering made by fire, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Each bull or ram, each lamb or young goat, is to be prepared in this manner. Do this for each one, for as many as you prepare. The cat is kind of standing right here. I'm wondering if I should allow this to continue. If you're wondering what that thing is that has been whipping in front of the camera, it's the cat's tail. Here she comes. Do this for each one, for as many as you prepare. Everyone who is native born must do these things in this way when he brings an offering made by fire as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. For the generations to come, whenever an alien or anyone else living among you presents an offering made by fire as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, he must do exactly as you do. So everyone who is native born must do it, and everyone who is an alien living among them who does it must do it the same way. I'm not sure if that thunder is picking up, but we're having some thunder out there right now. The community is to have the same rules for you and for the alien living among you. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. You and the alien shall be the same before the Lord. So salvation was never only for the Jews, or in this case the Hebrews. The word Jew isn't come along yet. That's down the road. So salvation was never only for the physical children of Abraham, or the descendants of Isaac or Jacob. These same laws and regulations will apply. You and the alien shall be the same before the Lord. The same laws and regulations will apply both to you and to the alien living among you. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land to which I am taking you, and you eat the food of the land, present a portion as an offering to the Lord. Present a cake from the first of your ground meal, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. Throughout the generations to come, you are to give this offering to the Lord from the first of your ground meal." So he's still saying he's going to get them into this land. He has not reneged on his promise to have these people into this land. It's just not going to be this generation of people. Now, if you unintentionally fail to keep any of these commands the Lord gave Moses, any of the Lord's commands to you through him, from the day the Lord gave them, and continuing through the generations to come, and if this is done unintentionally, without the whole community being aware of it, then the whole community is to offer a young bull for a burnt offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, along with its prescribed grain offering. This is the other cat. I'm having a phone. Is this anyone important? Yeah, hang on a second. Alright. The whole community... Wait, where am I? along with its prescribed grain offering and drink offering, and a male goat for a sin offering. Now, I'm assuming they would have to be made aware of this sin. If they sinned unintentionally and did not know they were sinning, I'm assuming, and they're offering a grain offering, or they're offering a sin offering to atone for it, I'm assuming at some point they had to be made aware of it somehow. It doesn't say how that happened. Maybe one of the traveling Levites or priests told them about it, or something. Awareness set in somehow later on. I'm not really sure, but clearly they had to be made aware of it at some point because they're offering an atonement sacrifice for it. The priest is to make atonement for the whole Israelite community, and they will be forgiven. For it was not intentional, and they have brought to the Lord for their wrong an offering made by fire and a sin offering. The Lord's desire is always to forgive. The whole Israelite community and the aliens living among them will be forgiven, because all the people were involved in the unintentional wrong. But if just one person sins unintentionally, so not just a community sin, but individual sin, he must bring a year-old female goat for a sin offering. Again, I'm assuming he's made aware of his sin somehow. The priest is to make atonement before the Lord for the one who's erred by sinning unintentionally, and when atonement has been made for him, he will be forgiven. One and the same law applies to everyone who sins unintentionally, whether he is a native-born Israelite or an alien. But anyone who sins defiantly, whether native-born or alien, blasphemes the Lord, and that person must be cut off from the people. Because he has despised the Lord's word and broken his commands, that person must surely be cut off. His guilt remains on him. He's sticking his fist up and saying, I'm going to do what I want to do regardless. And here's an example of that right here. We're going to move right on to an example of exactly that happening. While the Israelites were in the desert, so sometime during those 40 years apparently, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly. And they kept him in custody, because it was not clear what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, this man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp. So the assembly took him outside the camp and stoned him to death, as the Lord commanded Moses. So this guy sinned defiantly. He sinned with his fist shaking in the face of God. It doesn't seem like gathering wood is all that big of a deal, but he gathered wood on the Sabbath, apparently did so defiantly, intentionally knowing what he was doing and doing it anyway. And the Sabbath was supposed to be one of their sign of their covenant relationship with God. It was one of the big cultural differences between Israel and the rest of the nations around them. And so not keeping the Sabbath was a very, very, very big deal, because that was one of the hallmarks of their culture compared to the nations around them, and one of the main things that signified to everybody that they were different, holy, set apart, not the same as the rest of the people around them. So violating that one was pretty serious violation. And apparently he was doing it not unintentionally, not accidentally. He hadn't forgotten. He wasn't confused on what day it was. It seems like he was doing it defiantly with his fist in the face of God. So the Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments, with a blue cord on each tassel. You will have these tassels to look at, and so you will remember all the commands of the Lord, that you may obey them, and not prostitute yourselves by going after the lusts of your own hearts and eyes. We're going to get to this a little bit later when we get into Deuteronomy and Moses is giving them his farewell address. But consistently, what is luring the people away into sin is the lust of their own hearts and eyes, what they want to do. Moses does it now. He went all the way back in Genesis 3. He wrote about this serpent that put this thought in Eve's head about wanting to eat the fruit of the tree. But ever since then, he hasn't said a thing about the serpent. Moses hasn't. When men or women sin, except for that one instance way back at the very beginning, even then it said that Eve saw the fruit and decided it was pleasing to the eye and desirable to touch and taste, and for gaining wisdom. But every instance from that moment onward, when someone does something against the word of the Lord, it's because that person decides to do it. Except for the story of the serpent in Genesis 3, Moses does not put any emphasis whatsoever on outside forces coercing people into sinning or influencing people into sinning. Here, it says pretty clearly that you're going out, don't prostitute yourself by going after the lusts of your own hearts and eyes. The emphasis is put pretty squarely on the people here. And we'll see this again mentioned even more pronounced in Deuteronomy when we get to that. Then you will remember to obey all my commands and will be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. Notice how it emphasizes that repeatedly, over and over and over again.